Today what I'd like to do is show you how to make a really simple turkey stock. And the reason why I thought about doing this was, with the holidays coming up and everything, we always got that turkey carcass, and what do? I guess you can just throw it away. But one of the things that I like to do with it is just go ahead and turn it into stock. And as far as stock, you can use it for so many different things. You can use it in soups. You can use it in your gravies, you can use it in, roasts, whatever you might do to really add much more flavor. And if you happen to see an episode that I did not too long ago, I used some turkey stock to make beans. So what I want to do here first is just show you some of the ingredients. One of the things that you'll see is I've already put the turkey in and the turkey carcass itself in, and it's actually cooking already. But I want to go ahead and just kind of show you the rest of what I'm going to do here. The first thing that I'm going to do is I've got three different things vegetables that I'm going to use with the carcass, and that would be carrots, onions, and celery. For me personally, a lot of times I will leave the celery out because I don't like the flavor of celery, and not so much in stock, but it's like most of the time you have to buy a whole bunch of celery just to get a little bit for your stock. So with this here again, I'm just going to chop it up in kind of rough pieces. Here again, if you saw my episode last time, you saw how I held the knife, and so I just have some big chunks. Set these off to the side here. The next thing I want to do is I want to chop my onion. Here again, I'm just going to slit it down the half. I'm going to cut the two ends off of it. And then I'm going to peel off the outside layers. Okay, with this one, here again, it doesn't have to be diced real small. So what I'm going to do, this is going to be more in chunks. So I'm just going to cut it once. Okay, same thing here. Okay, I'm going to get myself a bowl. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is the carrots. One of the things that I do with carrots, instead of peeling them all, I like to just go ahead and take a scrubby or scrubber kind of thing, and then I'll just underwater, I will just kind of rough that up and rinse them off, and that way you don't have to peel them, but it does get all the dirt and all the debris off, and even the bitter outsides. So here again, this doesn't have to be anything fancy, just chunks. Cut the ends off. There we have our vegetables that's going to go ahead and go in this. One of the very first things that I'm going to do to show you how to make simple turkey stock is just get out my turkey carcass. And basically, this is leftover from yesterday. I cooked a turkey. I've got the neck in there and the carcass. If you have the leg bones, thigh bones, you can throw them in here too. But the first thing that we want to do is just get this cooking. So all I'm going to do is take this carcass, put it on a cookie sheet there, and I'm going to stick it in the oven at 375 degrees. Let's go ahead and put those in, and then we'll just let that cook on 375 for about an hour. I'll probably check on it a couple times, turn it over, and I'm going to add some things to it, as you will see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and open the oven. I'm going to take out the bones that they've been roasting for a little while already, and then I'm going to go ahead and add my vegetables. This is a good time too for me to turn my turkey carcass over. And for those of you who kind of know a little bit about stock, it's like this would be what you would call a brown stock, because I'm browning the meat, or browning the bones beforehand. And really, stock itself is not so much about the meat as it is about the flavor that's in the bones. So that's what we want to do, is we want to go ahead and just allow this to cook a little bit longer, allow the vegetables to heat up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put it in a pot, and then we'll start to cook it. So it's actually simple. It takes a while from start to finish, but you don't have to do a whole lot. You know, you stick it in the oven, you wait, and then you put it in the pot, and you just check it every once in a while, and then you have some great stock. So here again, I'm going to go ahead and put this back into the oven, and we'll let it cook for probably another half an hour. Okay, so now the turkey carcass has been in there almost an hour, and the vegetables about a half an hour. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring them out. Let's take a look and see what we've got. Okay, that looks pretty good. So what we've got there is now the turkey is browned. The vegetables are soft. They're starting to brown. There's all this juice and everything that's kind of ran down and cooked. And this is one of the reasons why they call this brown stock, is because it's been browned. And so all I'm going to do, just really quickly, is I'm going to take my turkey carcass, and I might have to go ahead and cut through it here. Pieces, the neck, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these vegetables that have been browned in that the turkey drippings, transfer all that into my stock pot. And then this last part here, what I want to do is I want to get all this. This is all the really good stuff right here. So what I'm going to do, put this over here. I'm actually going to heat this up a little bit. so that I can get all the good stuff off of it. And this process is called deglazing, and what I like to do, and this is one of the places that I'll use some wine to deglaze, because if you heat that up, pour a little wine on it, it helps all that crusty stuff come off, and it goes in the stock pot. Also, it makes it a lot easier to clean up. So we'll give it a minute here to kind of warm up, but that's essentially what I'll be doing here. Because that's a little bit hot, I'm going to put on my glove here. So you don't need much wine, just probably a quarter of a cup at the very most. And another reason why I use wine is it has a little bit of acidity in it, and it will help break down a lot of the flavors. You can see it's starting to warm up there. Go ahead and get all that stuff off the bottom. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of filtered water. If possible, I'm going to try and get this to the point where it pretty much covers everything. So I need to add a little bit more water. And just add the rest of the water. So now what we've got is we've got our vegetables, we've got our bones and everything in there. What we're going to do is I like to add now some herbs. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to add a little bit of rosemary, and these are dry herbs. So basically I'm just going to get the leaves off of them, and some, I guess the first one was thyme, and this is rosemary here. So I don't need to put the stem in there, but at the same time I wouldn't worry about if you got the stems in there, because we're going to filter this anyway. Okay, so we've got our herbs in there. Like I said, I like to use thyme and rosemary. I like to use peppercorns, but I'm out of peppercorns, so I'm just going to use some pepper from a grinder. And I would usually use probably 4 to 6 whole peppercorns and just put them in and let them just kind of sink to the bottom. You don't have to grind them or anything. And here again, they'll be filtered out in the end. Okay? Then the last thing that I'm going to put in there is a little bit of sea salt. I don't want to put a whole lot of salt in there, but just a little bit to start with. And you can always add salt later. The one thing that you'll want to do too is, as this cooks down, the flavors will concentrate. So you don't want it to be too salty. So that's pretty much all there is for that. And what we're going to do is we're just going to let this cook for a while, and then we'll come back and check on it, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the uses for our stock. So we're back now, and it's been about 4 hours, and it's just been cooking on low, simmering. Actually, Bonnie and I went to a Christmas party, and we're back now. And what I need to do is basically take the stock, and I'm going to strain it. So what I'm going to do is I've got a container that should hold most of the liquids, and then I've got a strainer. And so I'm just going to put that in here, and I'm going to go ahead and just strain this. There you have it. We've got some turkey stock. What I'll do is I'll put this in the refrigerator in the morning. As it's cooled, all the fat will come to the top, and I can just scrape the fat off, and you'll have a nice turkey stock to use for a lot of different things. Like I think I even mentioned earlier, you can make soups, you can use it like in beans, you can use it in rice, you could use it to make gravies, sauces, whatever. But this is just one little example of something that you can do that would be very simple with the carcass left over from your Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner. So I hope you just take a few minutes and just make some simple stock, and I think you'll be really pleased with the results. It's not that much work. It actually takes a long amount of time, but there's not really that much work to it. So with that, I would just wish you a Merry Christmas.